Now, this will probably be the toughest question of the day, but I gotta ask. During my work with Idaho Reporter, I have talked to teachers across the state who are upset with administrator pay levels. We know that you're one of the highest paid.
Well, I am the highest paid.
You are the highest paid superintendent at $171,000 a year. Is that about right?
It was 175 was the base.
I apologize.
It's in the fifth quartile of the the fifth quintile of superintendent pays for districts our size in the country.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So how do you defend that pay level to a teacher who's just starting out, or a teacher who is now receiving a pay cut, but their superintendent is not and is making six figures?
Well, actually, I'm completing my contract. When we took, let's talk about my contract. That's a great question.
That's fine.
It's an excellent question. My contract was developed 9 years ago in the district. And it was developed, interestingly enough, on a business model because the community and the state really wanted schools to get much more interested in business structured contracts as opposed to what they felt were those that didn't have and didn't follow strong business principles. One was market standard for districts of particular sizes and particular dispositions. And mine was at market standard for this region of the country, the Mountain West, despite the fact that the Mountain West is one of 5 regions where educator pay standards are determined, and we're 5th of the 5. So my pay standard here was the lowest of the 5 regions where that's disposed, and we certainly could talk about that a little bit more if you'd like to see those statistics. The concept was to have a market standard, and one of the things I did when I came here is made sure that our teachers were at market standard and all of our employee groups. I directed that we do what are called classification and compensation studies to fix pay rates in the district. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's a business principle that basically says, what is the market for a particular position in a particular community? What does the private sector pay to get the best people in those roles? What does the public sector pay to get the best people in those roles? And what occurs is you establish what a fair rate of pay is to get the best candidates for each position. The board did an equivalent of that relative to the superintendency. And in my particular case, despite the fact that we're the lowest of the 5 areas, that was the base pay that was established for that. They also fixed my compensation and raises to the raises received by our employee group. So despite the fact that all of the employees always knew what my salary was, they also knew how I got raises, and my raises were fixed to their raises. So when they got 1%, I got 1%. When they got 3%, I got 3%, and no more.
Interesting.
And they were very supportive of that. They also recognized that I had 40 years in the field. They recognized that I had 4 content area degrees, 2 of which were tied to educational leadership, 1 a doctoral degree. They also recognized that I had successful leadership of 4 school districts around the country. They also recognized that I was and let me make sure you catch this, that I was the CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of one of Idaho's biggest businesses, and that's the Boise School District. It's a $200 million a year business. It employs 4,000 people, about 1,900 of which are teachers or involved with the instructional program, and the rest are support staff. It has one of the largest food services programs in the state. It has one of the largest transportation systems in the state. It has obviously one of the largest instructional systems in the state. It's a business. And by the way, the $200 million a year operation is the general fund side of the situation. On top of that, we had a $100 million capital side, which in my time allowed us to build 7 new schools, make consolidations for savings, and build 7 new schools in critical areas of the community. And so the end result was the board used a business model. They made it transparent to all of our staff people, and when the staff people gained, I gained. When they froze, I froze, and when they lost, I lost. along the way, and that's why they accepted it, and that's why they have been so kind. I don't know if salary was the only reason they've been kind and good to me. I think the work we did together and the relationships we created through that work created many friendships, personal and professional, between and among staff people. But honestly, I do not, in the 8 years that I served as superintendent in Boise, ever recollect getting a critical message from a staff member, either signed or unsigned, about my salary. I'm sure somewhere along the way somebody could have expressed disgruntlement. But I think people understood market standards, and what we tried to establish was a market standard for everyone's position in the district, and move forward on that principle to make it fair, to make it equitable, and to make it appropriate. I was proud of my salary level. Obviously, it does not compare, it being in the fifth of 5 quartiles, to people serving in much smaller and I think much less complicated school districts around the country. But it was appropriate for Idaho. I was honored to receive it, and I earned every nickel of it.
Perfect. Now,
that was not a difficult question.
No, not at all. For giving the interview, I'd like to give you the chance to shout out your website or Twitter account if you have one. Go ahead and give us your URL for your website.
Well, the best way to reach our website is Olson4, F-O-R, Idaho, and that'll link you right into the website and start you with the basic information necessary to expand a relationship.